So, what's new? How many times during the week do people ask you that question? How many times during the week do you ask someone that question? What's new? Sometimes we ask really without expecting an answer. And often when the answer does come, it's something like, not much, same old, same old. Could it be that we're really that jaded? Is life so boring and repetitive that we really can think of nothing that's new? You might have noticed that there's a lot of newness in the scriptures today. We heard about a new heaven, a new earth, a new city, a new Jerusalem, a new time, new things, and a new commandment. That's a lot of newness in just a handful of verses. Maybe we need to hear that because we easily get settled in, don't we? We get comfortable with what is. We get stuck in life the way it is, in our habits, in our relationships, whether they be healthy or not. We just live with them. We get settled in the same old, and much too soon we can stop expecting life to be new and fresh. We settle for what's familiar, what's old, maybe even what's stale. We get settled in our own ideas and presumptions and prejudices. We stop expecting progress in ourselves, in others, in the world around us. We sometimes even give up on others or on ourselves. We figure things aren't going to change. They're not going to improve, not going to get better. So we accept them as they are, even if we're unhappy with them as they are. We can be this way about our own lives, about the lives of the people around us, about the church, about the neighborhood, about our country. We can have this attitude about the whole world. Many of us have stopped expecting real change in other people, in other nations, in ourselves. Some of us might no longer even expect God to do something new. But in the scriptures today, God says all over the place, I'm doing something new. Well, maybe these are words we need to take to heart ourselves. Maybe the question you and I have to ask today is, am I open to, do I believe, do I want to believe that God desires, that God can, that God is doing something new in the world, in my life today? Let's take a look. Is there something new I would like God to do in my family? Well, I'll just talk about my family for a minute, okay? Yes, there is. There are some relationships in my family that need healing, reconciling, understanding, and forgiveness. And they have needed those things for years. Please, God, do something new in my family. Is there something I'd like God to do new on the political scene in the United States? You bet there is. We grow increasingly impatient in seeking to understand the other side's position. We refuse to work with, we refuse to even talk to folks of a different political stripe. So we build a stalemate on the foundation of bitterness, hard-heartedness, and pride. Please, God, do something new in the USA. There's something I like to see God do new in the church. I'd like to see reflected in the church's life and her teaching the fullness of the heart of Jesus, wide open to receive all God's children into our arms, especially those who are poor, marginalized, and oppressed. Please, God, do something new in your church. And something new, God, in every place where there is war. Ukraine, obviously, but in every other place on the globe that's torn by violence, terrorism, oppression, killing. We need desperately to find, before it's too late, a humane response to discord, boundary disputes, tribalism, and lust for power. Please, God, do something new in your world. And then, how about in the private sanctuaries of our own hearts and consciences, yours and mine? What change might we pray God make to reconcile us to Jesus, to one another, to ourselves? What new things do I long for God to do in my own life? Please, God, do something new inside me. Well, the good news is God is doing something new in our families, in our nation, in the world, and in our hearts, in the church. But whereas we might be happier if God would just change human nature and thus rewrite all the headlines, rather than that, God chooses to do something new by offering to change our hearts. To give us hearts willing to let go grudges and resentments that keep us apart. Hearts willing to lay aside the greed and the self-interest and the politics as usual, to bring the wisdom and the common sense of truth to bear upon our lives, our governments, our laws. Hearts willing to open wide doors that have been shut for too long, for far too long, and to welcome in those who are desperately seeking a place to rest and to dwell. Hearts open to how the Lord might want to mend, heal, fine-tune, and unburden each of us of what keeps us down and out, what keeps us oblivious to the new things God is doing all around us, right in our face, but we miss them, or we miss the opportunity to allow them to happen. And I think of one more group of people who might be listening right now, here in church or at home on the live stream. Think of those who look at their lives, look into their hearts, and cry out, "Please, Lord, nothing more new. At least not for a while, Lord. My heart's already heavy with what's new, with what grieves and burdens me. I pine for the old days, Lord, when all seemed well. The days before I knew such loss and hurt and disappointment. The days when I was filled with peace, before my peace was torn from me. Nothing new today, Lord." I understand that. I do. And it's from that understanding that I say that there is one thing new that God does every day for every one of us. Each morning, whether the dawn finds us in sorrow or in joy, each morning God rises with each of us, fresh and new, ready to walk by our side, to help us carry what burdens us, and to heal and mend again and again the brokenness in our hearts. In this Easter season, it would be good for us to recall that on Easter Sunday morning, the very first Easter, the women came to the tomb grieving, sad, unhappy, bereft. They came prepared to anoint the body of the dead Jesus. But God was going to do something new in their lives. It was so new they could hardly believe it when they saw it. The stone that sealed the tomb, the stone they thought they couldn't move, was already rolled back. The grief that filled their hearts walked into an empty tomb, empty of the one they came to mourn, because he had already risen and gone before them, ahead of them. So they ran from the tomb to tell the good news to others. And that is the very news we heard in the scriptures this afternoon. The word that the Lord makes all things new, even and especially when we're lost in what's old. The Lord desires to change our hearts, as he does with his word, as he does in the Eucharist, as he does in our prayers, he does in our gathering together as his people. Let's open our eyes, our ears, our hearts. God is doing something new in my life and in yours today.